Luffy does battle with one of Big Mom's big commanders in this week's chapter of One Piece. It's been a long time since we've had a chapter that has been devoted almost entirely to action, and I have to say it's really refreshing. This chapter was all sorts of kick-ass as Luffy was doing battle with Cracker, who is incredibly powerful. I mean, just look at his freaking bounty. 800 million? That's insane! This guy's more powerful than Doflamingo. I didn't even imagine. The fact that he also has a Devil Fruit power which allows him to multiply his body parts and weapons also makes him pretty damn devastating. Not to mention, he does a pretty good job of beating the ever-living shit out of Luffy in this chapter. That is until the final pages, of course, but we'll get to those in a minute. There's still a few little details in this chapter which are really important. One, there's a scene where Brule is talking down to Nami, trying to capture her and bring her into the mirror world, and while she's doing this, she's also giving her a little bit of a history lesson about the Supernovas, otherwise known as the worst generation of pirates, who've been trying to make their way into Big Mom's territory, and every single one of them has just had their ass smacked. That is, of course, except for Iruge, the big lovable priest with wings. Apparently, he did make it to the island and even managed to take down one of Big Mom's commanders. There used to be 4 of them, but Cracker stepped in and had to send Iruge flying. This is presumably why he was so hurt when we saw him up on that cloud. This is a pretty big piece of information, and it lets us know how powerful these actual characters are. Then, we finally get to the big part. That's right, Luffy versus Cracker. This is awesome. There are a couple of pages of just watching Luffy and Cracker smack the shit out of each other. Luffy using a lot of tried and true techniques like the elephant gun, some Gatling techniques, a little combination of hockey, but for the most part, Cracker blocks everything and just sends him flying across the seducing woods. It's an amazing action scene that I cannot wait to see in the actual anime version of the show. I really hope they're going to be able to do it justice, especially the way that the battle ends, because Cracker has a lot of superpowered attacks, especially with his sword, which apparently goes by the name of Pretzel. I guess that's a type of cracker if you really want to consider it that, but he uses this attack called the pretzel roll, and there's all types of other crazy food puns. It gets me really hungry actually thinking about it. But at the end of the day, for me, my favorite part of this chapter has to be the final panel. Just so freaking awesome. I loved it, especially how quick it happened, because it looks like Cracker actually has the upper hand in the battle. He's got Luffy pinned down with his shield, when suddenly Luffy just explodes into the air, and the next panel we get to see, he is instantly transformed into his Gear 4th form, and hits him point blank with a Kong gun, presumably defeating Cracker, but we're going to have to wait and see. The fact that Luffy is already having to bring out Gear 4th is awesome. I also really like that he's going to be bringing it out because I want to see it more often. It's a really cool form, and seeing it in action is always fantastic. So, the good news is we're going to see more of the bouncing Gear 4th form in the future. So what's the rundown on this week's chapter of One Piece? I loved this chapter. Of course, I'm an action junkie, so I'm definitely going to love this one. But there were just a couple of great pages of Luffy and Cracker fighting, and it looked super fluid, super fast, and most important, really explosive and impactful. And that's one of my favorite things about the fights from the One Piece series, where when someone actually gets hit by an attack, you can almost feel it yourself, how devastating it's going to be. And getting to see Luffy get knocked around by Cracker in this week's chapter is insane. I was just sort of like waiting the whole time though as I was reading it. I'm like, come on Luffy, Gear 4th, bring it out man, you know you want to do it, and boom! When we finally get to that final page, he unleashes it, and I love how there was like almost no build up to it at all. He just jumps up in the air and he's instantaneously in that form, just finally hitting him with that big punch. It was satisfying as all hell. But like I said, there was also some other little important details about this episode, like with the supernovas, how powerful they are, how they've all tried to confront Big Mom. There's also a scene where Nami is almost about to be kidnapped by Brule and actually put into her mirror world. But luckily, Pound comes over and he tries to attack, and this leaves her devastated, and then she suddenly gets hit by one of Nami's big lightning blasts. Again demonstrating that not only does Nami have the looks, but she'll kick your ass too. I'm very interested to see what she's going to do with Lola's card and how that's actually going to come into play. She clearly has big plans for this thing, and I can't wait to see how that's all going to, eventually develop, because we're definitely going to see Lola again, and I'd love to see Lola actually interacting with her mother and to show that she has a really strong connection with Nami. I mean, how is Big Mom actually going to react when she learns that it is the Straw Hat crew who saved her daughter and her entire crew? I mean, she can't truly be mad at them, which leads me to believe that we might be seeing an even bigger alliance coming up and not so much just a cut and dry black and white villain here. But that's all just speculation on my point. What I will say is this chapter was action freaking packed, and if you want some cool, kick-ass Luffy action, check out this week's chapter. It definitely delivers and it kicks it up to 11. I loved this one right here, and you should definitely check it out. I'm going to give this chapter right here a 5 out of 5. I think it deserved it. It was entertaining as hell, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and go read it one more time. Make sure to tell me what you liked or did not like about this chapter. If you had a favorite scene, a favorite action scene, what did you think of the battle between Luffy and Cracker? Is Cracker actually going to be defeated with one attack from Gear 4th? And what do you want to see from the rest of the brand new Big Mom arc? Please tell me in the comment section below. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. One of the easiest ways to support Super Kami Guru 9000 is to take a split second just to hit that like button. It's so freaking easy, and it allows a lot of people to see our videos en masse. You can also subscribe to the channel, which would be freaking great, because that way you'll be able to see all of our latest anime and manga reviews as they are released. Make sure to also check us out on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.